Hi, everybody. Welcome to another great session, a webinar with experts in artificial intelligence. And this time we have the Dr. Jaylan Azer. How are you, Jaylan?
I am fine. Couldn't be better.
Perfect. Good. So, who's she? Like everybody will ask. Of course, that some of you read already her paper and a lot of other research that she has been doing. Dr. Jaylan Azer is an associate professor in marketing at the University of Glasgow's Adam Smith Business School. She holds a PhD in marketing from the University of Strathclyde. I hope I pronounce well that name, the name of.
Strathclyde, yeah. You pronounced it right. Strathclyde, yeah.
Oh, perfect. And well, her research focuses on service marketing, customer and actor engagement, artificial intelligence, robotics, behavioral science, social media marketing, and so on. So thank you so much, Jaylan, for this time to share with us your research. Really interesting. If you can tell us a little bit of why you started with to think about this research, and then let's go to the presentation.
Thank you, Alejandro.
Good. So let me just share the presentation. By the way, to everybody, we will have a time of Q&A at the end of the session. But if you want to write down your questions, use the platform that you're using, and we will have time at the end to answer those. Thank you so much, Jaylan. I'll be here and backstage. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much. And hello and welcome, everyone. As Alejandro said, we will be talking about human Gen AI engagement and what does that mean for businesses. And as he also mentioned, I am an associate professor of marketing at the University of Glasgow, specifically Adam Smith Business School. And my research is about customer engagement in services, digital context, emerging technologies, AI, published in many of the top journals of marketing and service research. I'm an associate editor of one of the top journals in international journals in services, and a board member for several major journals in the field. This is one of the engagement events that I joined before, and I would be happy to join again, and in addition to many national and international events, because I really support the dialogue between academia and industry. So why exactly AI and the robots and Gen AI, and why it is now becoming something for services and businesses to think about or even put in their strategy and planning? It's not just because it has become part of our daily life. It is now embedded in many customer firm interfaces. Like you now have chatbots replying as customer services. You have also robots that are in the houses for like cleaning, and like the Gen AI robots. The Gen AI means it is embedded. ChatGPT and Gen AI, like the LLM models, is embedded in these type of robots, and it means one thing. And even by the way, something funny also. Mercedes-Benz is now doing something with ChatGPT actually, and there will be like an automated dashboard and GenAI enabled dashboard in in automobiles as well. So even the automobile industry is considering that. So by looking at this, this means that it is not going to be a human-to-human interaction. I wouldn't say not anymore, but I would say a lot would be a human-machine interaction. So this intrigued us to think, okay, then what? What are we going to do as research, as a research community? What are we going to do? So we had to figure out something related to human-machine engagement. We are people in engagement research, customer engagement, engagement on social media, engagement with other customers, engagement with the brand, with the services, with the company, with the policies of the company, and engagement. And of course, most of us know that maybe many social media engagement is actually very important for all businesses. And it says a lot about the prospect customers, the customers they may target one day, the customers they may not target, and so on and so forth. So engagement is a big deal. So we wanted to have something related specifically to this new phenomenon, which is human machine. There is an engagement here going on, and we don't have much to know about it. So we digged in, and we started by what we know about this and what we don't know about this. So what we know is that humans and the machines are not the same. And I don't mean not the same physically, because this is very obvious. I'm talking about even the intelligence itself is not the same. Cognitive, emotional, psychological, communicative levels, all of these are not the same. Implementing technology requires understanding human behavior and reciprocal human-technology relationship, specifically when you apply this in business. That's very important. There are AI, artificial intelligence types. We know that there is mechanical, thinking, feeling. Each offer unique benefits for engaging with services or brands. Like, for example, caring, like healthcare and, the caring industry, healthcare and this area is usually thinking about more feeling AI than mechanical or thinking AI, for the presence of what we call mimicked emotions might help. On the other hand, mechanical and could be with something related to everyday and mundane tasks. Thinking, on the other hand, may need somehow a way of putting algorithms together and so on. So each had unique benefits, and this is all what we know. Now, what we don't know is how people interact, how people engage with GenAI, the machine. We call it here the machine. To include robots, GenAI enabled robots, GenAI like ChatGPT, the dialogue or the conversation one, and so on. We don't know how they engage with it. What do they think of its potential impact? What is its potential impact of this engagement? And even when we talk about prior research that talked about engagement, it specifically talked about engagement with the brand or the service, but not the AI itself. And even when there is an increased interest in non-human actors like AI, they were not the engagement object. They were not the focus of the research. They were just, like how they facilitate engagement of customers with the company or the brand, like chatbots and stuff like that as customer service. but how people don't have to be customers, how people in general engage with Gen AI, that was not clear. And how such engagement can give us any impacts for businesses, for how people perceive the importance of Gen AI or not, the risk of Gen AI, and so on. All of this was not clear about engagement with Gen AI. All right, so we had to first define that. So we went for engagement, research, computer science, socio-technical systems, and we borrowed from computer science the label machine so that it will be more inclusive for anything, like for automation, for robots, for AI, for Gen AI, for a robot that is enabled with Gen AI, whatever the automation is, the machine label is more inclusive. So that's why we didn't call it human Gen AI. We called it human machine to be more inclusive. And basically, that's what computer science calls it. So we wanted to see how people engage about it, talk about it. And from that, we see what they do with it. And so we said that from the engagement research, customer engagement is behavior is involuntary, individuals' voluntary contributions of contribution of resources like what I do to engage with something. So what I do to engage with something is I contribute either time, either my experience, my skills, my labor, my knowledge, my energy, my effort, whatever I contribute. These are in the engagement research, these are called the contribution of resources. And it is voluntary, which means I don't have to do it. It's people's way of engaging with something. And this is the same thing with the brand as well. But here, instead of the brand focus, we said the machine focus. So this engagement's focus is the Gen AI, or the machine in this case, that occur in interaction with other actors and result from drivers. So we wanted to see also why they engage the way they engage. Then we had 3 studies in this piece of research. We started by something called ethnography, where we collect data from what people actually say online. It is an ethnographic way of research that is involving only online data. That's why it is called ethnography. We made 2 phases of ethnography. First, when ChatGPT was launched in 2022, and then another one a year after that, because we wanted to see some maybe differences after a while, evolution of something after a while, a change in behavior after a while. And we collected 24,601 Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn posts. And that is because we wanted to see how that is. I mean, we removed anything that is related to sponsored content or business content or any of that. We collected only user-generated content for that period of time. And then we made another phase. After we finished this, we had some forms of engagement, drivers of these forms, and we went for testing those forms. So impact of HME. Now, these are the forms of HME. We want to see HME is the human machine engagement on users. So we took scenarios from the results we got, real posts and real everything. And we usually collect only public posts. And we put it into a scenario, and we asked people some questions to find the impact of each of these forms on specific dependent variables. I will talk about them. And then we did the same using a service provider's sample to see how these forms impacted them, but we added a little bit of a twist here. We added a moderator. We added something that we wanted to see how that will differ, how that will make the impact differ, which is competitors' pressure, which is very important for any business. So for the study one, for the first study, which is about the forms and drivers of human-machine engagement, we found that people are driven by either emotional drivers or cognitive drivers. The emotional driver was excitement. In the first phase, we didn't find advocacy. It was very soon to have anyone to talk about Gen AI, like from a different perspective. That happened a year after. So in the first phase, we found excitement and concern. People were either excited about this opportunity or concerned about its detrimental impacts. Then in the second phase, a year after, we found people who are saying, no. Gen AI is this, but not that. Gen AI can do this and cannot do that. So they are trying to rectify some of the misconceptions and misunderstandings about what Gen AI can or cannot do. The excitement was like about all its marvelous capabilities and how this will revolutionize everything in our lives. They were happy. The concern, of course, the concern was like, this will take our jobs. We will not find a job. AI will replace us, will replace human. This is misinformation will be everywhere. There were a lot of concerns about misinformation, about cybersecurity, about job replacement. Mainly these three. And of course, academia, hates it in the beginning, because it was like, that a lot of cheating is coming our way. So that was another concern. But on the other hand, the excitement included things about how advanced its capabilities and how that can help us in productivity. And this is actually something that is very much concerned with, the businesses have to think about it this way. That this excitement, talking about the capabilities of AI or Gen AI and what it can do to businesses and to performance and to efficiency, less time, less money, and less everything. But in the same time, I would say excitement and concern should be taken both with a balance. And that's what advocacy did. In the second phase, when we collected data a year after, we found a new driver. People are driven by advocacy to inform others what Gen AI can and cannot do, what Gen AI is and is not. So this excitement drove people to do three things. Experiment. That was very, very high intensity, and I will talk about the intensity in a minute. Experiment. I think most of you have seen the social media flooded with examples of, I asked ChatGPT to do this, and this is what I got. I asked ChatGPT to write me a letter to whoever, and this is what I got. I asked ChatGPT to paint a picture of me when I am 70 years old, and this is what, and so on. And that was the experimenting form. People here post their tryouts. They post stuff about what they asked ChatGPT to do and what it did. They post the output. This is very important because this is different from the informative. On the other hand, also driven by excitement, people posted stuff about what type of prompts would you need to do this? What type of programs would you need to do this? What ChatGPT can do this? And if you tweak the prompt a little bit, it will give you that, and so on. They don't give us any outputs. They don't do tryouts. They are informing people. And that actually made us just sit back and see the difference between experimenting and informative people. The experimenting people are just like us. They found something new and they're trying to see how this works. But then the informative, they sounded a little bit more expert in this. They knew what they're talking about. They are not experimenting. They are telling everyone how to make the best use of ChatGPT. And some of them even went further than that, further than ChatGPT, because of course used hashtags LLM model, automation, ChatGPT, AI, artificial intelligence. So it's not all about ChatGPT as the only model of GenAI. GenAI was, like the holistic picture. So people here were talking from an expert point of view, what to do, and helping others, giving them templates of the steps and how the prompt should look like, and focusing on the importance of the prompt and so on. Also driven by excitement. People, on the other hand, were praising for the sake of praising. They didn't show any examples of using ChatGPT. They didn't give us any information on how to use it. And they didn't say anything more than like a couple of sentences about how fascinating, how amazing, how from another world is ChatGPT. But that's it. Praising. Yes, they are excited, and that's why they are praising ChatGPT, but that's it. They don't say anything. They didn't give any more any information about how to use it, or they didn't show any evidence of using it. No outputs, no experimenting, nothing. They're just here with us, praising. Advocacy, on the other hand, when it appeared in the second half of the second phase of our data collection, advocacy showed only informative. People advocated. I mean, what made them tell others what it is and what it is not. It was more or less advocacy, because it countered the too much excitement and it countered the too much concern. So advocacy came in the middle to just make it some balance and say to people, inform people what ChatGPT is and what it is not. It's not going to replace you. That's part of what they used to say. It's not going to replace you. It cannot do 1, 2, 3, 4. It can do 5, 6, 7, 8. So all you need to do is XYZ, but don't be concerned about replacement. Stuff like this, stuff like informing people also about misinformation, about deep fake, videos and media and stuff like that, that were all in the concern. So those were the advocates. They were informing people, but they were not giving people templates or anything, not like the excitement ones. Again, with the concern came another cognitive driver. Of course, concern drove apprehensive behavior. People here were against it, and also with nothing that shows that they even tried it, and nothing that shows they are informed about it. They were driven by the concern of job replacement, cybersecurity, deepfakes, and all the problems, all the concerns about GPT that we heard, about GenAI in general, that drove their apprehensive behavior. That's it. But nothing else. They were just as low in intensity as praising. No evidence of using, no information to other people how to use it or what to be concerned even about, nothing. And they were just, like, this is the end of the world as we know it. This is, but apart from that, there was nothing. So that's why when we looked at the intensity of engagement usually referred to the magnitude of resource contribution. So for example, if we say that in this case, people experimenting, why it is high? It is high because, first of all, they are people try out. So they are trying, there is trial and error here. They don't know what they're doing. They are actually putting more effort to understand. And they also put the output. On the other hand, the informative is coming from more expert people. They know what they're talking about. Not much contribution of resources here, not much effort, not much energy, and definitely not much time compared to those who are just trying for the first time, trying to deal with this. Definitely it will take more time. And that's why informative was not low on resource contribution magnitude, but rather medium, between the high intensity and the mid and the low. While in praising and apprehensive, people here did not contribute knowledge, did not contribute skills, they did not contribute time, they did not contribute effort. Their posts were just either praising or apprehensive, one-line post, 2 lines maximum. That's it. But you see the experimenting ones and the informative one, a lot of information, a lot of effort, and of course, the expertise is there and informative, while experimenting means that they took more time doing this because they were just trying. Now, as I said before, we went for testing those forms. So in order to test those forms, we had to know what exactly this is gonna impact, how people perceive the value of engaging with GenAI, which we call here perceived value of human-machine engagement, affinity for human-machine engagement. So we have something related here to people and cognitive and emotional side. So cognitive side is the perceived value of HME, perceived risk of human-machine engagement, and affinity for HME, which is more emotional side or psychological side. What we found is interesting. Experimenting, yes, it was the highest positive and the lowest in the negative, which is good. And of course, the apprehensive was causing the least perceived value. So people, when they read posts about apprehensive, they didn't see any value. Yeah, 1.6 means nothing. That's like strongly, very, very close to strongly disagree on the Likert scale. So the apprehension got them, let us call it this way. And even the praising Praising was not that high, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, compared to informative, it is more or less close. So reading the praising posts, other people said, well, there is a value here. The informative made it even stronger value, and the experiment showing others outputs, real outputs, took the cake. Same for affinity. Same for affinity. While we see here the praising for affinity is higher than even the informative. That was something very interesting we didn't expect. We expected something like the perceived value results, but we didn't expect that the praising would be as high and even higher than informative to affect the affinity to affinity for HME. But we related that to informative being so functional. You're just telling people step by step and templates and stuff, but the praising is out there telling others how excited they are about the good things that it can do and the time it can save and so on, which is more, yeah, it might trigger something emotional more than it triggers something cognitive. That's why affinity for HME, praising was higher on it compared to praising with the perceived value of HME. Regarding risk, of course, the red one, the apprehensive, was top. People read the apprehensive posts and they rated the risk as high. Even experimenting didn't do much to it. Praising was, yeah, because it was like apprehensive, praising made like the good side here, because we have two people here. One say, this is bad, and the other say, oh, it is amazing. So those two were the two that stood in the risk. Experimenting was fine. Informative was also good, even higher than experimenting, because here informative is giving people a chance to know exactly what it can do, what they can use it to do. So that actually was a little bit less on risk. Experimenting with the evidence of outputs made the risk even less. On the other hand, praising and apprehensive, because they lacked any evidence, you can see that apprehensive took it by far. The praising, well, it was still 4.43 is still high on risk. It's still high on risk. So as I said before, it's like someone saying this is bad, someone saying this is good, but they both lack anything. So the bad one aligned well with the perceived risk, and the good one did not align that much with the perceived risk. However, with the results and the outputs, it made a big difference on the perceived risk. That's why experimenting was the lowest on the risk. And that's a good result, which means that people can see results, they can see outputs, they might change their mind about the risk. On the third experiment, we took it, as I told you, a different sample. The other one was completely general population. This one is a service provider sample. So we gave service providers the same scenarios from what the people, what we collected in the first study. And we added something to show competitors' pressure. We said that a like, we added a like to it so that people can see there is a company, competitor company like this post, which means they agree to what the post says. So that changed everything. Competitors' pressure and no pressure. So now these are the results. Yes, the experimenting was still high with the service providers. They also think that was a very good, has a very good impact on their perceived value of human-machine engagement as service providers. But with the competitors' pressure, it was even better, 6.64 to 5.4. So it was good in any way. They find the value, yes, with the experimenting form, but with the competitor's pressure, with a competitor like on that post, it increased. Same for informative, although the difference is not significant. So in all cases, informative was good in both cases, but it was not significant with the competitor's pressure. Praising, on the other hand, with the competitor's pressure, increased a lot. And the interesting thing is how the no pressure of apprehensive is completely different from the competitor's pressure. And we related that to maybe because the competitor likes that. It means they perceive some value in this, which means I should, as a company, I should consider that too. Or otherwise, there is a big chance that I'm missing on something. So willingness to implement GenAI. That was another thing we asked them about. So now do you see that? How that will affect your willingness to implement it in your business? And we found more or less the same sequence. So also experimenting increased a lot with the competitor's pressure. Informative increased more, still very close to no pressure at all. Praising, on the other hand, more or less the same results. Apprehensive, it was less, and then it went even lesser with the competitor's pressure, which is very important. That this means the competitor's pressure is something that we cannot ignore. And we cannot take credit on this because socio-technical systems as a theory, which we built on in our research, said that it is more important to look at the company when you are applying a new AI or new technology, especially emerging technology, not just on how it's going to be inside the company, like you, your stakeholders, your employees and customers and so on, but also the external environment. And part of this external environment, and major part of the external environment, is the competitors. And that's why we added that as something that might change the whole thing, and it did. So this is the final thing. We have drivers. Drivers lead to some forms. People engage driven by excitement and advocacy and concern in forms of engagement with GenAI, such as experimenting, informative, praising, apprehensive. These are emotional and cognitive drivers that lead to forms with different intensities, low, medium, and high. And those forms affect other user-related outcomes like perceived value of human-machine engagement, affinity for human-machine engagement, perceived risk of GenAI, Perceived and perceived, both are cognitive related, and affinity is more personality related outcome. On the other hand, we had another way to see how that affected the service providers. Same forms, we looked at it from a service provider perspective, and we looked at also perceived value of human Gen AI engagement. Because if they didn't find the value in this engagement, they will not implement it, because in the beginning they will have to engage with it in the company, so their employees has to engage with it, and then have to engage with it, and then the customers. So the company have to is concerned with very much indeed the perceived value of human machine engagement. And of course, the usual thing that you have to ask is, do you want to implement it? Are you willing to do that? And of course, we put, as I told you before, to offer a holistic view of the whole thing, not just the service providers inside the company implement it, human machine value of perceived human machine engagement, it's fine, but this means their engagement with the employee engagement with the Gen AI or the customer engagement, the Gen AI, that's internal. Externally, how the competitors see that. That's why we added the competitors' pressure as a moderator in this relationship. So, what it means for businesses. Now, first of all, we have different drivers and we have different forms. So I'll try to make that as simple. We have here informative, that, as I said before, is driven by two things, two drivers. Excitement as an emotional driver, and advocacy as a cognitive driver. And back again to what we said before, excitement is people were, when Gen AI was launched in November 2022, it was like, wow, that was the aha. Like, wow, that is, they were over the moon with what it can do to our lives. Excitement, so emotional. On the other hand, as I said before, a year after, we ran again more data collection at that time, and we wanted to see, that was November 2023 to January. We found advocacy. We found the same forms. We found advocacy on top of that. Driver that informs people out of, like advocating. It's not something that you have to be concerned about. There is more to it than what you think. AI is not this, it's that. It cannot do this, it can do that. Its intelligence is different from this, it is different from that, and so on. So this informative, as it is, as I said, it was like people putting templates and stuff to show others how to use it, how to make the best of it. And they were more or less knowing exactly what they were talking about. They were more expert in this field. Was very shown in their posts. So what can we do as a business from this? We here recommend some recommendations based on what we found. So the first one is interactive guidance. If you use robots or not, it doesn't matter. So implement interactive GenAI systems or robots to guide customers on how to use GenAI effectively. Give them tool tips, how-to prompts, tutorials, and the service experience. Because that's exactly what those people were doing online. And as you could see in this, in the results, how that was very effective in making people see the perceived value of GenAI and the engagement with GenAI. So we want to implement something like that in the business. Also, the user-friendly interface is another idea. Let customers engage with GenAI easily. Ensure there are intuitive controls, clear visualizations. Like I saw embodied robots in airports and at other universities in Europe, welcoming people and at a conference in 2023, and it was very, very nice. We all engaged with it. We all interacted with it. Some of us were actually experimenting with it. So it is something, and it is something that people might be interested in, and straightforward navigation to enhance human-machine engagement. People, if they know, they will be easily adopting it, and they will be easily dealing with it. And you will be, as a business, saving and also doing very, mechanical things very efficiently. Educational and awareness campaigns. That's another thing also related to how informative was manifested. It was all about educating people. It was all about telling people what to do and what not to do. It was all about telling people how to prompt. It was all about giving people templates to use in order to ask for something. So that was it. That was it. So how about we do the same? How about we do education awareness campaign to inform customers about the potential limitations of GenAI before you implement it, or after you implement it, in order to make people know or aware of how it is used in this business, what it is, how they can use it, and if there is a tutorial, if there is tool tips, if there are how to prompt, anything like that would help them, and it will make this easily, smoothly going afterwards without any interaction from or a need or emergency need for a human to interfere. And then staff can do something more creative, more effective, takes time, makes more, very solid and significant decision making and stuff like that the AI cannot do. Address common misconceptions. This was the advocacy role. It did that. It did that with just posts to tell people, no. It usually started like that. No, if you think Gen AI is this, I'm sorry to tell you, this is not the case. Gen AI is this, and that. It doesn't do this, it will do that. So don't think it is going to take your job. It's not going to take your job. It's going to do this, and that, and so on. So address common misconception, because if you address common misconceptions, you also will be addressing concerns. The experimenting. What we learned from the experimenting, people here go extra mile. They post what happened. They post what they said and what they got. They didn't post how to use it. No, they posted what they have done and the results of that. This is different from the informative. And those people are just our friends, our neighbors, our family, common people that don't know much about AI, and those are your customers. So we can do that too as a business. We can use that. They are actually driven by excitement. So put that excitement here and use it. So social sharing integration. Because they were sharing outputs, that was something that increased engagement and made other people want to do the same too. And we all saw that, and we all were either viewers of these posts, or we also implemented that ourselves. So integrate social sharing features in your business that allow customers to share outputs on various platforms easily. First of all, that could increase the dialogue and the conversation about AI, make people think more about what they can do. I mean, in relation to your business using GenAI. I did this and GenAI told me that. Yeah, yesterday I had the same thing, and it will reply to you in a minute and it will say that, and so on. People will share outputs, will share experience, this social sharing. If you integrate it in your business, this can amplify positive feedback, showcase successful use, showcase. That was the big difference in the impact, the showcasing. That made a big difference between informative, experimenting, and praising. 3 positive forms, but 3 different impacts. Because people, when they are praising, they are just praising, as I said, they don't even share anything. They don't share, you don't even know if they used it. if there is an evidence of, there is no evidence. They didn't say anything. They didn't share anything. They didn't share any information about it. They didn't share information about how to use it, and they didn't share information about what they have done. Nothing. They were just praising it. But thankfully, that was good for affinity, but wasn't that good for perceived value. What was great for perceived value is expecting. The showcasing made a big difference between it and a good results, or I would say great results experimenting in perceived value and very good results for perceived value with informative, compared to praising, which was no evidence. Showcasing is a key. When people see evidence, that makes a big difference. In another paper I have, experiential, for example, we found that people, when they post pictures while they are using the product or using the service, is far more effective on others than taking a photo of the plate or taking a photo of the box of a product that you bought, and you say that, like the apple, for example, and you say that I bought this today. Well, this could be a picture of anything. This could be a picture of everyone or of anyone, it might not be even your picture. So the experiential was even more effective, and that's like the showcasing here, because they were showcasing here. Also, there is a showcase of successful use, and that will attract. In addition to amplifying positive feedback, will attract more customers to engage with robot or AI-enabled technology that you applied in your business. Another thing is the diverse use cases. People here, when they show cases of a Valentine card to my girlfriend or boyfriend, a picture of me, a painting of me, and for example, if I am 70 years old, I saw these examples in the data, and they were flooded, and I'm sure a lot of the attendees have seen that on social media when GenAI was launched back in 2022. Now it's not the same. Now actually people actually are using it in more significant and sensitive. So, I mean, people now are asking it to write CVs and help them with their interviews, and even plan their vacations. And by the way, CVs, plan their vacations, and interviews appeared also a year after the launch of the ChatGPT in the data when we did the second phase. Now even it helps people with their, I would say, personal problems. Let's call it, that's a big leap. But in this case, I would say diverse range of use cases for GenAI show how it is versatile. Specifically, successful outputs, of course, across different services and applications to inspire customers and broaden the understanding of its potential. That's experimenting. Well, we can also use the praising, although there is no evidence, but this doesn't mean we cannot use it. So what the praisers did, they were just praising ChatGPT and what it can do, and how not details of what it can do, but it's like, it's amazing that we have such a tool now and we can use it to do whatever, and it will revolutionize the marketing world. I read that several times. The marketing, the content marketing world, the creativity world, although I don't agree to this, and so on and so forth. So let's do the same. So establish your own community forum, and not just to tell people what they can use your enabled GenAI in business for, or toolkits for using it, or prompts, as we said, with the informative, or showcasing, as we said, with the experimenting, but also, like share insights and discuss. So people can talk about how brilliant your robot or your enabled GenAI customer service system is, and how brilliant the programmed chatbot that you added recently to your web page, or your customer service page, or whatever the business is about or offers. It could be also something in at a shop. I mean, one of the courses I teach is retail marketing, and one of the units is about technology or emerging technology in retail marketing. And that is, I think, the most important unit, because it is about what's going on nowadays. And many examples, and I think you know that, many examples are about using robots in warehouses, to do, when you shop online and they bring it from the warehouse. I discovered that most of the department stores now, the big names, are using robots in the warehouse. Most, not all of them. And that is, maybe it could be a robot that looks like a robot, or a robot that doesn't look like a robot, just like a square-shaped something. It doesn't matter. That's not about how it looked like, but about the automation of this step. So it is there. The automation of this step, it is there, and it is there for a while now. And why? For efficiency reasons. And let's be honest. I mean, this is something really a robot can do, or an automation can do, because it doesn't need human creativity to find an order and put it there. It can be done by mechanical, even not thinking AI. Sense of community around robots. This will also increase this sense of community around robot and enabled AI technology. Regular enhancement. Yeah, well, that is something that every business needs. You have to always make sure that you're up to date with what's in the market, because as you can see, competitors' pressure is a big deal, and it affected service providers and other businesses to be willing to integrate GenAI in their business or adopt it. So highlight new features, capabilities. This will enhance customers' perception of the affinity. Of course, as we said, the praising is very good at affinity. Finally, the apprehensive one, which is mainly driven by concern. Now, that is something that you need to think about how you will combat that, because it increased the perceived risk compared to the other forms. Of course, it's the -1, so it aligned well with the risk rather than the value. So transparency is the key. Clear ethical guidelines for the use of GenAI in your services or in your business is the key. Tell the people what it is used in, not just for the sake of informative, but also for the sake of combating apprehension. So clear ethical guidelines, I would say transparency is the key in this case. Ensure that the technology is deployed in a manner that aligns with ethical standards, respect user privacy, and avoid biases. And from another research, I would say not just transparency about the guidelines, but also about the presence of GenAI. So tell the people that the bot is the one who's dealing with this, not a human employee. And of course, make sure that the programming is done in a way that aligns with the ethical standards, respect user privacy, and avoid biases, all biases. And be responsive to GenAI in your business. Respond promptly. Know what is exactly their concerns about. That could definitely be an apprehensive poster. And they are, as I told you, driven by concern about everything. So sometimes even, I will tell you that from another research, not this one, people might be concerned about how responsible. Like, for example, if the GenAI told them that it will be solved, we will do this, we will do that on behalf of the company, sometimes people are not sure that this will happen, because they usually separate between the GenAI and the company. That's a very big deal. That's a very big deal. Very, very important deal. We call it the separation of agency. People here think that unless someone from the company says that, no one is held accountable, and no one. And I'm not sure that whatever this GenAI said as a solution for the problem is going to happen. So can you blame them? So that's important, that you take customer concerns very seriously and respond promptly to them. Clearly say how issues are being addressed and demonstrate a commitment to continuous improvement in addressing any challenges. That is related to, for example, if there is a service failure and you are trying to recover it, and the recovery provider is, in this case, your chatbot or GenAI enabled whatever, customer service, service provider, service recovery provider. And they have, like the standard apology and stuff like this. Fine, all of this is good because it's important. But what is more important is how people think. That's the customer on the other side. The customer on the other side, I'm telling you that they don't trust it. Especially in problems, especially in problems, they don't usually trust. I saw some people saying, I don't mind. As long as the problem is solved, I don't mind who solved it. Other people are just, no. I would like to know if I'm talking to a human or. That's why I said transparency is very important. Because why? Because I don't think if it is this, it's gonna be done like that, as the bot said. I don't think so. That's very important to consider too. So responsive to concerns and ethical guidelines. And I am done. and I will be waiting for your questions.
Thank you so much, Jaylan. Really great presentation. Really great insights, by the way. And I love your final recommendations, like transparency is key, ethical, follow the ethical standards, take customer concerns really seriously. I think that are really important guidelines that all companies and users overall should follow. We do not have a lot of time, but maybe we have three questions, but let's answer
Okay.
at least one. To let me read it out loud from Ellie4 in Instagram. In my company, the leadership still do not see the direct value to give AI to the whole team. What do you recommend to do so they can perceive the value to implement it?
Okay. First of all, let them come here and and attend one of these sessions. I think they will learn a lot. But jokes aside, um, how about you and your colleagues who are very much interested to, it seems from your question that you are interested to deal with or use AI in your work. How about you and your team go and talk to one of the people who will have a say in this? And when you go, I will do a showcasing, like the experimenting, so that I can show the value. So, for example, show them how you do it and how the AI did it, same thing, and tell them this was done in like this minute, this was done in like 10 minutes, and so on. And maybe that would make them think, okay, efficiency goes hell over time, and maybe that would do. And I would also think they might be afraid of or concerned, and they might be afraid of, I don't know the business you're talking about, but maybe they are afraid to do this so that the customers might not take it well, or they might be concerned about the cost of training, because you will have to be trained how to use it, and that could be another cost. So there might be other factors that they're thinking about, and that could be why they are not that willing. But I'm telling you something which is good news. I don't think there will be a choice later. I don't think.
Totally, totally. And do you think, following this question, like experimenting was like the most important factor to convince people the use of value of AI? But I think that it helps really well for the junior people, maybe some managers, but the leaderships are so like thinking about a lot of small things or the big strategy and so on. So how can they convince them to experiment, or what do you think we can do there?
Well, experimenting has to come from them, because experimenting is a very, curiosity thing. You want to know what to do with it. You want to know how it's going to serve you well. So you will have to have this, urge to do that. So I'm not sure if this is the case. I think, Alejandro, that, as I said before, people might not have the same.
People what? Sorry?
Might not have the choice later on.
Okay.
Like AI will be everywhere, it will be used, and it is there to stay. So they might not have the choice to use it or not. The point is, if you want them to experiment, I think the best way to do it is to let them see an example. Let them see something that was done by AI and something that a human did. Something like anything, a sheet, workload model, time score, anything like these sheets that are mundane sheets that we use all the time, and Excel sheets that is produced in like hours and hours and hours, and let them see that this report was done by AI, by GenAI, in 10 minutes. And that usually takes a week to consolidate and to put all together and all this. Maybe when they see that, they will start thinking, okay, efficiency is a big deal for every company. They would love to do less, to do more in less time. Because this means freeing other people to do more, unfortunately. But it is what it is. I would say later on, the creative part is going to be the human part. Because I think still critical thinking, creativity, development of stuff that are creative, that's not yet AI thing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree with it. I think that if they see small examples, they start to see the value and see all the savings.
It can help us, like, for example, and critical decision making. If you go to the managers with something like this, I think they will. Not in the beginning, but I think they will. And eventually, as I said before, I think everyone will have to. It is there to stay. And it is there now it is an app on everyone's phone. People are asking it about medicine, for God's sake. And this is not right, but they are doing it. And they are asking it for personal stuff, personal opinion, love life problems, and oh God, but it is there. So companies will do it because we put that competitor pressure in our design to see how it's going to affect, and it affected. Because even if when you have some doubts about its perceived value, you have to go for it because you are going to miss out on a chance other companies will take.
Yeah, totally. Well, thank you so much for your insights, your recommendations, your findings in your paper, like where people can find like more of your research or publications, or I don't know, like if you have other way that you are communicating your research.
Well, if you Google me, you will find you will find a lot of other papers. Yeah.
Perfect. Good. Well,
Thank you.
everybody, you can find her in Google Scholar or in
Yes,
in
exactly.
overall in
Google Scholar, easier. Yeah, easier. Google Scholar. Yeah.
or also the University of Glasgow website.
Of
I
course.
think yeah,
Of course.
perfect. Well, thank you, Jaylan. Thank you,
Thank
all
you.
the audience, for your questions. We didn't have that much time for the other two questions that we have, but thank you so much. And you know where you can find her. And thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you, Jaylan, for your insights. Have a great day. Bye.